What's good, YouTube? The season's over. The Oklahoma City Thunder are the NBA champions. And as for someone, I'm not even a Pacers fan, but I'm a Rockets fan, but I was rocking with the Pacers the entirety of the playoffs. And just to see them lose in this fashion, it just hurts, man. Honestly, I feel so bad for Tyrese Haliburton. He gave his all out there. You know, he didn't have to play tonight. The media was, saying ridiculous things about, oh, he's probably faking an injury. That's what Skip Bayless said. Stupid. It's stupid. He wasn't faking an injury, man. My man tore his Achilles. Hopefully it's not a full tear. We don't really know to the extent of which the injury is. And this sucks, honestly, even if you're a Thunder fan, because you want to be able to win with a healthy roster. You know, this might even paint a taint their legacy of winning this game. And I hope that's not the case, because, you just got to play who's in front of you. Same thing with the Cavs and the Bucks series for the Pacers. You just got to play who's in front of you, bro. You're not in control of that. But yeah, the Thunder are champions. Here we are. SGA Finals MVP. He absolutely deserved it. I mean, he has been putting up MVP numbers the entirety of the playoffs. He averaged 30 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists in the finals. That's Finals MVP. Without a doubt, absolutely deserved it. I do feel happy for Thunder fans. It's their first title. And, with the horrible decision that they made to trade James Harden, which I was obviously very happy about. But with the horrible decision that they did make to trade James Harden, this kind of really does make up for that. And, Sam Presti he really did, fix his entire legacy of being the Thunder's general manager. I'm very happy for them. Seeing Chet Holmgren, baby Hartenstein, falling asleep during the broadcast. It was really wholesome. It was really heartwarming. As for the Pacers, man, Benedict Mathurin, he was in there giving it as much as he possibly could. He was able to single-handedly bring it back down to like a 10-point game. He had 10 free throws. In that fourth quarter, he just was not giving up. He took it out of SGA's playbook, drawing all those fouls. They fought as hard as they could. Andrew Nembhard, he did a phenomenal job guarding SGA the entirety of the series. I think he probably did the best out of pretty much anyone who tried to so far in the playoffs. He really just made him struggle at times, and it was good to see. That was very refreshing. Pascal Siakam, I feel like he should have played more tonight. There were some moments, at some key possessions around like the third quarter when the Thunder were making that big lead where I thought Pascal Siakam should have been in. TJ McConnell, he had that third quarter stretch where he really turned up. He was just not able to miss. He was driving in, making everything that he wanted. Fourth quarter came around, and obviously there was big turnover problems. The entirety of the Pacers, following the departure of Tyrese Haliburton in that game, turnovers were a major problem, bro. They finished the game off with 21, and a bunch of them were from TJ McConnell. I mean, what do you expect? He's a backup point guard. He's going to be able to go out there, and that's not his role. That's simply not his role. I think this game would have been much differently. It's going to be one of the biggest what-ifs. It's going to be, what if Haliburton didn't get injured in Game 7? And, if the Thunder do end up going on a dynasty run, that's ever going to be one of the biggest what-ifs in NBA history. I feel really bad for Tyrese. I hope that he's able to have a quick recovery and, come back around. And, I want to see this Pacers team continue to compete. Everyone on this team is super young. I was going to say the East is wide open, but, we don't know the extent of Tyrese's injury. So, hopefully he's able to come back, about halfway through the season. They can still go on another run, That's hoping. That's best case scenario. We don't really know if they're going to be able to keep the same roster. I mean, Miles Turner, he is getting older. TJ McConnell, he definitely has some value to trade in the offseason. So I do think that this team should stay the same, run it back, see what they can do from it. But it just sucks, man. One game away, brought it to a Game 7. A lot of people were counting the Pacers out. The Pacers, they really did take my heart. they stole my heart this playoff run, man. And, when I saw them being in Cleveland, I just absolutely was like, wow, dude, this team is something special. This team is absolutely incredible. And at first, I was picking against them, and I genuinely thought that they were going to beat the New York Knicks. They were going to beat the OKC Thunder. Came up short. But, they overachieved. Nobody thought that this series was going to be going to a Game 7. Nobody at all. I saw everyone saying, nah, bro, it's going to be OKC 5. OKC 5, bro. Like, they won 68 games. But get out of here. Okay, you don't know ball. You don't know ball, man. Man, it sucks. It sucks. And when I saw Aaron Nesmith on that bench, bro, with tears in his eyes, I was like, damn, bro, this team is hungry. And I know that they're going to still be here for the next foreseeable future. I mean, even SGA was talking about it, Tyrese is one hell of a player. He said the Pacers are one hell of a team. They're going to continue to compete. So, if you're hanging your head down, if you're a Pacers fan, I know it sucks. You have such a bright future. And, in the Eastern Conference, I truly think that the Pacers have solidified themselves as a top 2 team, even when everyone's fully healthy. I think it's Boston, Indiana, clearly. And if anything, bro, I think this year's Indiana Pacers fully healthy versus the Celtics fully healthy, they would have taken them. They would have took them. It just sucks, dude. They'll be back. They will be back. And, for the OKC Thunder, you got to be happy for them, man. Just a few seasons back, they were a 20-win team. They did a little 2K rebuild. Like, that's the speed at which they did this. It was something like when I play 2K my league, and I set myself as a challenge to rebuild a team within the next 3 years and win a championship from like 20 wins. This is what they did. They did this shit in real life. So you got to give the OKC Thunder credit where they deserve. They were the best team, bro. Back-to-back seasons where the best team has been NBA champions, They took care of business. Everyone expected them to win, and it would have been a big question mark. People would have been calling this team frauds if they didn't win the championship. Their expectation was to reach the finals. There was really no excuse not to. And, they did what they needed to do. This team is still so young, and it's honestly genuinely scary with the number of draft picks that they still have, how long they can still compete. Like, this team isn't going anywhere. As a Rockets fan myself, I think about the OKC Thunder, and I get scared. But we just picked up Kevin Durant. I'm going to be dropping a video on that. Mad excited for that. But, the West is just, it's crazy. It's super competitive. You got Dallas, you got the Spurs, you got the Houston Rockets getting better. But at the end of the day, it still seems like the OKC Thunder are just kind of a league above everyone else. And it's so scary because this could be the start of a dynasty, bro. We could be seeing the next iteration of the Golden State Warriors. And, Steve Kerr talks about it, and, other people who've been on these dynasties talk about it. The first one is like, that's the toughest one when you just try to get over that hump. At that point, any given point after that, it's just kind of like remembering who you are because you've done this already. It's just awesome, man. I feel super happy for Thunder fans. They deserve it. One of the most passionate fan bases in the NBA. Same thing with the Indiana Pacers. Don't hang your hat too low. Y'all overachieved time in and time out, and you still have such a great young team. Prayers to Tyrese Haliburton, hoping that he's able to recover fully. Come back like himself and be able to recover in as quick time as possible. But obviously taking care of whatever he needs to. That was the season. I wish it ended off on a better note. I wish that I was able to come in here more happy. With my energy in these videos, I'm usually, yelling all over the place. I'm super energetic, super happy. But, with this one, it's kind of bittersweet because I feel super happy for the Thunder. And, at the same time, I feel, disappointment for the Pacers. I've been rocking with the Pacers, made so many videos on them. I dropped 4 or 5 videos on just the Pacers alone. Such an amazing, lovable team. But, and the season's over. But don't worry, we are not going to stop dropping content. We are going to continue to be here. We're going to talk about the draft, free agency, what's going to happen in this next season. We're going to individually go through each team. That's something I want to do. And, just talk about what each team is, their position, what they should be doing, expectations, whatever it is. But I'm new to this, but, I genuinely love this. And it was such a fun time. My goal was to hit 90 subs by the time the playoffs ended. And, God bless, I'm at 180 now. So, I love and appreciate each and every single one of you, bro. If y'all tune in, just know, it's been one hell of a ride, and it's just starting. And, man, I'm loving this. I'm loving to do this. But comment, subscribe down below. I'm going to catch you on the next one. Take care.